Hi, welcome everybody to cxo. Just bear with me one moment for one small technical issue. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today's webinar is connecting Oracle Essbase data. A simpler way, faster way, more effective way of connecting from Essbase to cxo financial reporting software. So today's speaker is myself. I'm Alfonso Colanino. I'm the Regional Director for existing customers and new prospects across the UK, Ireland and the Nordics region. I'm going to take you through today's presentation. So what do we have planned for today's webinar? So it's a 30-minute webinar. I'm going to take you through reporting on Essbase. What is the data challenge? I'm going to talk a little bit about connecting Essbase to the cxo environment. Then I've got a little bit of independent research to share with you from some well-respected organizations. And then finally, I'll give you a demonstration and show you what the software looks like for you to see on the screen, all in 30 minutes. If you have any questions, please pop them into the question box on your panel at any stage, and I will take those right at the very end. The last couple of minutes are reserved for Q&A. So the starting point for most of our customers, when we think about the finance department, they think about month-end reporting. The month is closed. They want to know what's the performance of the business. The CFO wants to look at the KPIs, the balance sheet, the cash flow, etc. And this printed document is a typical representation of what the CFO is looking at, the executive team are looking at in terms of taking decisions about the performance of the business based upon last month, historically, to ensure that the strategic objectives are met. And what are they looking at? Excel, PowerPoint, or even PDF documents. So let's look at that in a little bit more detail, specifically related to organizations that have Essbase. So what is the reporting process? Well, if we think about the various source systems where data is stored to produce that report pack, it could be a general ledger, planning systems, data warehouses, HFM, headcount from HR systems, even Excel, as you can see. Typically, those are loaded into Essbase, ASO, BSO, Hyperion planning cubes. And then for reporting purposes, we tend to see that the Office of Finance tend to ask for the data to be dropped into Excel via SmartView. Now, organizations do have generic BI tools, possibly Oracle's BI tool, which they call OBIEE. There may even be alternative typical BI tools in the organization, like Tableau, ClickView, Power BI, Business Objects, and so on, maybe in the organization. But the Office of Finance tend not to use these. These tend to be used for operational dashboards, requiring IT assistance in terms of building them, maintaining them, amending them, etc. So the Office of Finance tends to use SmartView or even an extracted data into the world of Excel. The production of the actual report pack that we've talked about tends to be very manual. If you're bringing together multiple sources of data, it's a case of stitching that data together into Excel. That existing extract needs to then be added on top of the existing report pack from the previous month. So there's another manual opportunity for potential errors in joining together the information. If you think about an Excel spreadsheet, there could be multiple tabs because an organization may have a report pack that's made up of anywhere between 30 and 60 individual tabs. And those tabs hold individual charts or tables or graphs showing the key performance of the business. So one tab may have a balance sheet, the next may have a profit and loss statement, the next may have a financial statement, the next may have a view on the revenue, there may be commentary fields, and so on and so forth. And if you think about the finance person responsible for taking that data from Essbase into Excel, adding it to all of those tabs, the manual task must be quite daunting. Then, of course, there's the actual formula calculation management. So it's a case of saying, if I've got now a new column of data, I now need to bring in that data and bring forward the formula calculations, even if it's just a summation, and make sure that that total aggregated view is then carried forward to other data sheets. And then finally, there's commentary collection. So this is the part where if you are trying to explain why a particular variance has gone beyond a particular threshold, or a number has gone up or a number has gone down, again, that can only be done by business partners. It can only be done by finance managers. In other words, people need to, who are responsible for particular cost centers or entities or departments, to explain what's going on within their business unit. And they can only do that either by phone call, by email, by a Word document that's sent around, or even the Excel spreadsheet may be sent around the business for data to be collected in terms of the narrative. It's being done currently, as we know, and of course, that means that, sorry, this little technical issue, just bear with me a second. And the output tends to be PowerPoint, Word documents, PDF, and Excel. The drawbacks of this particular process means that from the Office of Finance that it's very static, you can't drill down into the information, there's no search capability and so on. So these are the typical challenges that we would see using Essbase connected to month-end reporting. So how can it be done differently in cxo? And typically the data is going to reside in those Essbase cubes, and what we want to do is actually bring them into the world of cxo software. So you can see here the data is coming in from Essbase into cxo, and then we've created a number of features within cxo to deliver the value or solve a lot of those problems that I described on the previous slide. So automation of that report pack, deliver an experience which is a drill down like a BI solution. And we've got a very neat capability of collecting the narrative commentary in a workflow to roll it up from the lowest level up to the group level and so on. A nice, clever calculation capability. So if you want to do calculations within the solution, we have a simple way of the Office of Finance being able to do that without going back to IT and manage that yourselves. There's a number of other features there which you can see on the screen, but we'll come back to those in the actual demonstration. So a little bit on connectivity. So how do we actually do this? How do we get data from Essbase into cxo? So first of all, if we think about a pre-built connectors, a direct connector configuration, as you can see by this this overview, cxo will actually sit directly onto the Essbase cubes, and we're collecting the dimensions, the hierarchy from the Essbase cubes into what we call an Essbase connector, and that then it goes straight into the cxo application. We see an SQL repository there, and that is for storing any narrative that's collected within cxo. So the data is sitting straight on top of Essbase. So if you think about mapping of dimensions, how is that done within cxo? And we can see the advantages of providing more information for reporting. So in this example here, I think it's very telling. So for example, in the Essbase cube, you may have a period, which is quite interesting within cxo. We're then going to split that into two dimensions. We're going to split it into the period and the view, giving you the ability to now look at year-to-date, quarter-to-date, and also by year, giving you that additional flexibility, which is what's required generally by most finance folk. That is very easy to do once that mapping's been done. You can see the other ones one-to-one here, year-to-year, scenario to category. Products have just been replaced by A1 through to A10, but it can there's no limit to how many dimensions can be brought across into CXO, including custom dimensions. In terms of user security, this is quite interesting. This is one area of CXO that we can actually inherit the security from the underlying Essbase. So there's two ways of actually doing that. We've got number one, which is the Essbase Authentication plugin with SSS mode enabled, and two is the user impersonation. And this short slide is giving you an example of how the two is done. So the first one is the end user would log into CXO using their Essbase credentials. CXO essentially is connecting to Essbase using the end user username and password protocol, and that's done seamlessly, so the user wouldn't notice that. Or there's the impersonation version. Again, the end user logs into CXO, selecting the authentication adapter, and then CXO connects to Essbase using the stored admin username and password at the end. So again, seamless and inheriting the security settings within the organization that's set up by our organization and support you in actually creating that effectively. So what's the main value of CXO software to sit on top of Essbase for financial reporting? Well, number one, we support both BSO and ASO cube models. We've got a live data connection to Essbase, which is very important. And we do support the Essbase authentication. All Essbase dimensions, hierarchies, and user-defined attributes are supported and can be reused within CXO. The support and query optimization for attribute dimensions. And of course, we've got MDX coding to support complex calculations. So for example, rolling 12-month averages or year-on-year growth. And secondly, MDX calculations can support dynamic listing, essential for ranking from the base hierarchies. So a little bit of independent research associated with CXO. So at Kscope in 2017, actually, one of our partners, Metavero, is an Oracle Gold partner, did some analysis. This chap, actually, John Booth, did an analysis which he called the Essbase Smackdown, a little bit American, but viewing and comparing CXO versus a number of other solutions, which we'll see here. So there's a little bit about John Booth here and his background, but what's interesting is Metavero as a partner. They're a Gold Oracle partner, so they know Oracle really, really well. And what he actually did is he wanted to compare Tableau, as you can see by the second bullet point, Tableau versus Oracle versus CXO. At the time, we were called cxo-cockpit. We've been rebranded to CXO software, but it's the same solution. In performance, in what he's called prettiness, but visualization, and of course, performance from a user's perspective within the Office of Finance. I guess if I just jump, there's a number of items associated with Tableau, then with OBIEE, then with CXO, but the overall one is in closing, which is quite interesting. CXO software was superior integration with the EPM enterprise performance products, easy to use, and is definitely his choice. OBIEE, the Oracle's solution, very powerful. However, that power comes with complexity. And then finally, Tableau, Essbase support is too limited and formatting was too complex. So you can see there's a little bit of independent research, even by Oracle Gold partners. The second one I'd like to share with you is one of CXO's existing customers, M&G Investments, and they did a presentation at Kscope, the Oracle user group in the USA in 2018, so following up, and they reviewed Oracle's Financial Reporting Studio versus Microsoft Power BI versus Tableau versus CXO software, and this grid very clearly shows the 6 criteria on the left-hand side of the screen as to the ease of integration to underlying source systems, supports multidimensionality. You can see graphical capability or visualization, collecting of commentary. You can see the 3 solutions apart from CXO, very weak at collecting commentary, and so on. So that's independent research that's available. However, don't take my word for it. Take the word of at least 90 customers that CXO currently has, and we can see a lot of them listed on the screen here. You'll see a lot of large names like McDonald's, Facebook, KLM Airlines, Senior PLC, a FTSE 100, London Stock Exchange registered organisation, AkzoNobel, one of the world's largest chemical and explosives organisation. These organisations have very complex systems, could be SAP, could be Essbase, it could be HFM and so on, but they still choose CXO as their reporting solution because of some of the benefits that I've highlighted so far. We've got around about 10 minutes left, so what I'd like to do is spend just over 5 minutes showing you the actual solution, giving you a live demonstration, and then as I said, I would take some of your questions. So just bear with me 1 second while I switch over to the demo environment. So what I have for you here is CXO. Just going to sign into CXO. Obviously, the look and feel can be customized for a particular customer, so don't worry about the actual coloring and branding of CXO software. That can all be changed to have your logos in place. What can we see on the actual screen? Well, right at the top of the screen, we can see a number of folders. These are where we would store all of the individual dashboards that have been created. So the Office of Finance may, for example, have an executive summary. They may have a folder with profit and loss. They may have a folder with capital. Essentially, these are customizable, the titles. When you see a particular dashboard you're interested in, maybe it's this working capital one, I can click on it and the dashboard would appear straight away in front of me. What's actually happening is it's opening related to a point of view. So we can see the point of view is 2017. That's the one that my demo is fixed at. Of course, it would be the latest period for yourselves, the year, and also the latest period. But this one is, in terms of the demo, is just set at 2017, September. And I'm looking at the data from the entity of this particular fictitious organization, which is called Communications Inc. We can see that below that we've got United States, Europe, South America, and Asia. Again, what's interesting, and as part of that hierarchy which exists already within Essbase, we can see that CXO, because it's sat on top of that data, will automatically read the entity structure that exists within that particular data connector, and therefore present the entity structure in my view here. And of course, it's taken the security, so therefore me as an individual user would only be able to see the data associated with what was prescribed to me by the security settings within Essbase. And of course, I can actually change that view. So if I wanted to go back to August, I can look at August by just clicking the button, and now I'm looking at the August period. I can go back to my home page by hitting my home button at any time. You can set an individual home page, or you can actually set one globally for the organization to always look at if there's some KPIs that you wish them to see on a regular basis. Like a typical BM tool, you would expect the drill down capability to exist. So for example, if I wanted to explore direct costs in a bit more detail, then I would just expand the plus sign. We can see direct costs is showing me the actuals versus budget, but maybe I'd like to look at actuals versus a different scenario like the forecast. So I can come up to my point of view, I can switch it to the forecast, and therefore the scenario now is actual versus forecast, as we can see here. I might wish to drill into professional services a little bit further, and so on. I can see that at the bottom of the screen I have some commentary which is explaining what's going on in this particular dashboard. Now, from the automation perspective and commentary collection, you may wish to enter information automatically for a report pack. And let's just quickly look at that. So we have this feature that we call Storyboards, and the Storyboard feature, if I click onto it, opens up a new pop-up menu, which shows me I can create a new storyboard. I can search for some existing storyboards in this box here, or I can see a list of all of the storyboards on the left-hand side. Over on the right-hand side, we can see the individual dashboards that have been added to that particular report pack, or storyboard as we like to call it. So when I click on the bottom one as an example, the monthly report pack, that's showing it's made up of a front page, a second page which is called conditional line items, a third page which is called profit and loss, and a fourth page called multi-bar and line charts. And this is the report pack that's being created. It's very easy to add a new one to this report pack, and therefore also to export it. So let me just close this for a second and show you very quickly how we add a dashboard to a page in the report book. So let's go to the profit and loss. We can see here there's a nice P&L. It's a short P&L statement, actual versus budget for the group level. I want to essentially add some commentary and then add this to the report pack. So first of all, I'd like to see that, if I go back to the September period, which is my current period, we can see that subsidiary comments in brackets 3. So when I expand this, we can see that USA, South America and Asia have made a comment. And what I would like to do is just roll those up to the group level. And these are some of the features of CXO. So click on the pencil, copy from the children to bring in all that information. And then I can actually even make my edit, because I might wish to change it. I might not be happy with some of the information. So I can see that there's a little bit of formatting there that needs to be dealt with. I may wish to add my global summary. I might wish to also just change a little bit of the text, make that font a little bit bigger, change the color of it so we can see that it's different, and then just save that information. What I would like to do then is also now just add this to the storyboard, and I do that by clicking on this Add to Storyboard, decide on where I'd like to add it, so it's the monthly report pack, insert it after the front page, so it's now in the second position, click Add Page, and now that storyboard, this dashboard has now been added to that report pack. So let's go to the storyboard. Let's go to the monthly report pack, and we can see front page is number 1, profit and loss is now number 2, number 3, 4 and 5 are just being pushed down 1. So now this report pack or storyboard is made up of 5 pages. So effectively, what can I do with it? Well, if I wanted to, I can export it. This allows me to drop it into Excel, PowerPoint or PDF, so we don't take away that ability if the organization wishes to do that. But probably key to this solution is the ability to share this dashboard, this storyboard. So what I want to do is I want to share it with Harry Brown. Now, Harry is the CFO. I want to share it with him. It's month-end reporting has been done. He's the CFO, and he's also what we call a light user. I'm going to save that. I'm going to close this down, and my final task is just to sign in as Harry. I'm just going to sign in as Harry. Harry's a light user within our solution, and automatically it goes straight to the storyboards because that's all that's been shared with the light user. You can see that there are no menus at the top. There's no point of view settings. He just gets a list of all of the storyboards that have been shared with him. The one I've just shared with him is this monthly report pack, which you saw me share a second ago. You can see this right at the top, last updated, the date and timestamp. He can export it. Here are the 5 pages. You can see the thumbnail image will generate overnight for him and be visible tomorrow, but the report pages actually work. So if I click the play button, it asks me a couple of settings, but I'm just going to play it. And we can see straight away that the profit and loss is number 1. We can see the second one is the conditional line items. He also has the ability to add commentary if he wants to. So you can see here, as you can see, I can type directly into the actual report book itself. I can go to the third one. The third one is a waterfall chart. And again, I have all of that wonderful capability to drill into the information. Even in the storyboard modes, I can switch it to direct costs. I might want to look at against forecast instead, switch off the zoom, and so on. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to leave that on the screen. I'm going to go to the questions and see if there are any questions. So just bear with me 1 second while I just check that. So where are the questions? Okay, so I have one question from the audience, and the question is around, we just talked about Essbase, but does cxo connect to other data sources? So there is a list on our website of all the data sources we connect to, but in essence, we connect to some of the major EPM systems like Oracle HFM, the EPM systems in Oracle within SAP EPC. Yes, we do connect to some of the latest Oracle versions like FCCS and PBCS, some of the cloud versions. We do connect to Tagetic as a planning system, Anaplan as a planning system, TM1, and so on. So there's quite a list of connectors which you're more than welcome to look at. Each of them operates slightly differently to what I've described today with the Essbase connector, but in terms of the output and the visualization, the cxo deliverable is very much similar. Okay, so there aren't any other questions, so I'm going to just leave the last thing on the screen, which is if anybody has any questions, I'm just going to leave my details on the screen, and a colleague of mine, Jean-Pierre, you are more than welcome to contact either one of us, or if you have any further questions or would like to see a particular demonstration. Of course, this has been 30 minutes and I spent probably 5 minutes in a demonstration. So I hope you've enjoyed today's session, Essbase connected to cxo, some of the benefits associated. Thank you very much and goodbye.